Welcome back, family. This is your old school traveler. I've been traveling again, and let me tell you about a city that got some great food. I got to tell you about this city that got some great food. Charlotte, North Carolina sticks to its roots. And as usual, I'm going to tell you the bad and the good about Charlotte itself. And then I'm going to come back to the food. Charlotte is I want to say I don't want to call it the next Atlanta because I think it's on par with Atlanta. Not as many people as Atlanta has, but the traffic is a lot better. I mean, a lot better. And it seems like in North Carolina as a whole, they're building interstates everywhere. Every road or every, path you want to take, there's an interstate that goes there. I'm not sure what's up with that because interstates to build them are not cheap. But Charlotte is a city that's full of sunshine. You get all four seasons. You don't get a lot of snow, but you get a lot of sunshine, which is good. You don't get a lot of rain, but you get a lot of sunshine. And Charlotte, used to be a little cheap city next to Rock Hill, South Carolina. But Rock Hill is a minute, small city compared to Charlotte. Charlotte has everything you want. I don't know what you could want that Charlotte don't have. Now it's a lot more laid back than Atlanta. It's a lot more laid back than most big cities on the East Coast. But Charlotte is not really on the coast; it's on the inland. But Charlotte has everything you're gonna want, and I mean, it has everything you're gonna want. From the weather to the traffic. The one thing now, the negative thing about Charlotte that is definitely different. They're building toll roads everywhere. But the toll roads are really not that big of a deal because the road next to it, the frontage road next to it, or the interstate, you can jump on those too, and traffic still moves. Traffic moves. It's not like traffic don't move at all in Charlotte. No, I never, driving through there, I never felt like I was going to be standing still like in the DC area. I never felt that way. No, in Charlotte, things just kept moving. And it was at a nice pace. And it's one thing about Charlotte that I do like about Charlotte versus some of these other cities. Charlotte is what it is. It's kept to its roots for all these years. And what I mean by that is that you still can go 10 miles like to Huntersville and some of these other cities, and Charlotte is still country. The suburbs, the ones right next to Charlotte, within 5-10 miles maybe, you go 15 miles and you got some pretty country. Yep, you got some pretty country. And the houses are very, very reasonable. I'm talking 400,000 get you some acreage. 400,000 get you, half an acre or more. Depends on which way and where about in the Charlotte area you want to be at. But if you're retired, shoot, you go 15 miles outside of Charlotte, you got a mansion for $600,000, which is cheap on anything on the East Coast because taxes are very, very low in North Carolina compared to going above north of North Carolina. Taxes are ridiculous. I'm talking about income, property, you name it, insurance, you name it, is all expensive. But Charlotte could be a fun city too. Plus, it's got a couple beltways too, which is always nice because if you're not in the inner city and you want to be in the suburbs, Charlotte really is a nice place to be at. And plus it's got some nice parks. Some parks they got downtown aren't really parks. They're more like a parking lot, not a park. And so you just got to make sure that you know exactly where you're going and where you want to be at. But like I said, traffic moves. Everything is 3 lanes or more. Everything is 3 lanes or more, which is always nice. I didn't run across any 2-lane interstates or any major roads going into the city that were 2 lanes. North Carolina, outside of Texas and Florida, do a great job with how they build roads. Everything had a merge area. Everything was nice. Unlike some of these other states where the merge area, well, actually, I've been to a couple of states. There is no merge area. The only way to merge is to bump the car next to you on your left. But as far as prices goes, Charlotte is cheap for a city of its size. It's very, very cheap. I stayed at Embassy Suites in the southern part of the city, and I paid $150 a night for 4 nights. And in Charlotte, you can always find something to do. That's one thing I liked a lot about it, was that you stayed busy. You could find things to do. Unlike some cities, after one day, you visit the 2 museums and you're done. Charlotte also has all the sports teams for all the major sports. The only thing they don't have is baseball. And you know what? We'll get over that part, because they got football and basketball and hockey and everything else, but they may have hockey. But anyway, they got all the major stuff, and it's an up and coming city, because it's not there yet. Because now, the reason I say that, because a lot of things in Charlotte shut down at 8 o'clock at night. A lot of things just shut down. It's one of the things that you gotta get used to. It's the South. You're not gonna be like in L.A. or New York or Chicago, where you can get out of bed and get a hot dog at 3 a.m. It's not gonna happen in Charlotte. But as far as being pretty, it's a pretty city, and the skyline is getting. I don't know if it's getting bigger, better, or what, but it's pretty as hell. Every time I go through Charlotte, it seems like another skyrise shot up out of nowhere. Now, Charlotte also is a city that if you have nothing, you still can make it in Charlotte. It depends on where you want to be. Now, I'm saying that you have to be careful, because I'm saying my words very carefully. Charlotte is not a very diverse city. No. And when I say they got great food, they got great Southern food. Charlotte has never left their roots for Southern food. Unlike Atlanta, who wants to be international, Charlotte just says, we just a big Southern city. But unlike Memphis, you got things to do all the time. Memphis is a big spread out city that's just dead. Charlotte is not dead at all. Charlotte is coming to life. It is a city that you're going to be proud of, a city that you're going to like, but it's coming to life, because you stay busy in Charlotte all the time. Now, parking downtown is cheap as hell compared to most cities of its size. It's cheap as hell. Now, some of the hotels charge crazy prices, to park overnight. But you know what? You can get the same hotel for about 5 miles outside of downtown, and parking is free. Yeah, parking is free. Like I said, I stayed at the Embassy Suites, and parking was free. And the hotel was clean, had no issues, no problem. And it's a good place to homestead while you go see Charlotte. Take US 74 into the city from the east going west, and you'll see one of the nicest skylines in America, if not the entire world. You'll see a hell of a skyline. But crime. Let's talk about crime in Charlotte. Charlotte crime is above average. It's above average. You don't have all those killings that you have in some other cities for the same size city. No, you don't have. You don't have that. But petty theft and robberies is a problem. It's a problem. But Charlotte, one of those kind of cities too, that you got a lot more have-nots than you have haves. Now, the people that have money, they tend to live in suburbs, and the people that work in the city of Charlotte, a lot of them come from South Carolina, and we know South Carolina is a little bit backwards in a lot of their thinking, in a lot of ways they do things. They're not exactly let's use the word. The word you want to use is intelligent. They're not at that level. No. But that's South Carolina. Charlotte is in North Carolina, right north of Carowinds. And so, and like I said earlier, whatever it is that you want to do, Charlotte has it, and Charlotte makes it fun to do it. And parking is cheap downtown. It still got parking meters, the old style. You put coins in them. I love that. The only thing I don't like about it is that when your coins run out, you ain't got coins, you're kind of screwed. Because nowadays, almost every parking meter takes credit cards just credit cards. Nobody takes cash anymore, just credit cards. But the one thing about Charlotte I did notice a lot was that every car got a dent in it. Don't people get cars fixed down there? They don't get them fixed. No, they ride around with them all dented up. And I see why, because a lot of people drive around Charlotte and they don't pay attention to the cars and the people in the area next to them. But Charlotte is as far as high tech goes, it's up there. It's up there with a lot of different cities. It's not like a Boston or Austin or Silicon Valley, but it's up there though. And one thing about Charlotte I did like a lot is that there are people on the news, when they tell you the weather, they're pretty damn accurate. Because a lot of people on the news, they just guessing the weather. Hell, I can guess weather. It looks sunny, cloudy with a chance of rain and a little bit of snow. Yeah. I mean, I can do that, But if you are family oriented, Charlotte is a city for you. It has a lot of things for families. It has a lot of things for single individuals. Just that, get in the habit. 8 o'clock at night, it all shuts down. The only thing left is fast food and a couple of restaurants. And speaking of restaurants, they got one called Captain Steve's. That restaurant is great. I went there and I could not figure out why the line was so long. Once I got inside, saw the menu, I was kind of impressed. But then when I saw the servings, holy hell. They give you enough food for 3 meals and it's cheap. I'm talking about, $20 get you a lot of food. But, when I go to a restaurant and it's got a huge parking lot, that kind of tells me that the locals know where to go. And Charlotte, Captain Steve's was like that. But they have another place that I thought gave you way too much food. A place called Stacks. It's not in Charlotte. It's in the suburbs. Like Captain Steve is in the suburbs. I think Stacks is like in Monroeville or Monroe, something like that. Captain Steve is out in some fancy suburb that was pretty nice. It had your typical big box stores, but it was in the northwest part of the city. And so was Stacks. Stacks was out in the west. But Stacks, for breakfast, you can't beat it. The best breakfast you're ever going to have. It's the best you're ever going to have. Point blank, hands down. It's one of the best breakfasts in America, if not the world. And the amount of food they give you, I ordered a lumberjack type meal where you get a little of everything. And geez, you got to be built like a lumberjack and just as big as a lumberjack to eat all that food. I think I ate a third of my food. And I don't know if it was just too much food. Their idea of Texas toast is to give you an entire loaf. I've had Texas toast 1,000 times. It's just twice the size of normal bread. This place gave you a loaf and gave you 3 of them if you order French toast. I'm like, holy hell. Who eats this amount of food? And their place stays packed and stays crowded with a bunch of old people during the morning. A bunch of young people on weekends. Old people can't eat that. They can't eat that. They cannot eat that amount of food. Can't be done. So I don't know why they give all that food to old folks. Can't do it. And Charlotte, downtown, I didn't feel unsafe at night. I didn't feel unsafe in the suburbs at night either. So crime wise, I could only go by what the news told me. I didn't see any savory characters or anybody want to run for the hills. I didn't see any of that. I mean, I just didn't see it. But Unlike Atlanta, Charlotte knows it's a southern city, and they feed you look like a southern meal. They know all that, and there was just no food that was just bad. But they don't try to be international, even though their flights fly international. From the airport there. But Charlotte tends to just be a what do you call it? A home cooked type place. They give you what your grandmother gave you. They don't pretend, I'm gonna give you Persian food, and there are no Iranians or Persian people in the entire damn city. Nah, they don't. Nah. They're not fake. They're real with real food. They're not fake at all. Some people are very, very, very fake. I always say Atlanta, because Atlanta, back in the day when I lived there, you can go anywhere and get a good old Southern meal. Charlotte don't do any of that. They keep it real. We make certain things that's been around 250 years, 300 years. We're very good at it. We're very proud of it. That's what we do. And if you want some of that, come here. If you want someone who's gonna make Vietnamese food when there's no Vietnamese in the entire city, don't come here. They don't do that. No. And they price it so that it's a southern price. I expect that places like Charlotte to be cheaper than Washington, D.C. I expect that. When it's not, I got a problem when you paying for southern fried chicken and you're spending $30. You're stupid as hell. You're stupid and you're dumb. You spend $20. You're stupid and you're dumb. No. Fried chicken is not that expensive, especially if you're doing a chicken thigh or a drumstick. That's cheap. You can do a breast. That's cheap. Because the chicken itself is only $3-4 a pound. If you do a thigh, it's less than $1 a pound. So why are you charging me new age prices? No. You got to pay wages. Okay, I'm not giving a tip. I'm not a big tipper because I grew up in Europe, and every place I went to, tip is just pure profit for the owner of the place. But Charlotte is a place that if you go in there and you eat any chain food, something is wrong with you. And don't tell me your kids want McDonald's. Get rid of the damn kids. Get rid of the damn kids. You're going to eat what I'm going to pay for, and this is what I'm going to pay for. I'm going to pay for this right here. I'm going to get you a meat, a vegetable, a starch, and a drink that's non-sugar, like tea without sugar. That's what I'm going to get you. Today you're going to grow up. Today you're going to grow up. That's just me. But I'm going to go to Charlotte again because I like the city. I like the weather. And, you can stay busy. I don't mean just eat everywhere, but they got lakes. They got great lakes. They got places to do a lot of different things. And you got Kannapolis. You got Concord. You got Gastonia. No. Don't go to Gastonia. That's a ghetto. It's a ghetto that's really the only thing famous for is a train track that hasn't run a train in probably 50 years. Don't go to Gastonia. But you got malls, you got the Speedway, NASCAR, you got any type races. You got it all in Charlotte. I don't know what more you could want of a city. City's got great weather, great food, great infrastructure. Like I said, North Carolina builds an interstate every other day, it seems, going somewhere, maybe where you want to go, maybe where you don't want to go. But Charlotte is it's going to get passed up by Raleigh at some point in population. But Charlotte is not the next Atlanta. Charlotte is what Atlanta should be. Carefully thought out. You got enough infrastructure to handle the number of cars that you expect to be on there in 20 years. Not the number of cars you expect to be on there today. A lot of cities didn't build the infrastructure. Charlotte has a pretty infrastructure. But Charlotte also discovered toll roads. Not a fan of toll roads at all because you're paying gasoline tax to ride the same damn roads for free if you didn't pay. So that's my take on Charlotte. You know, everything's above average, including the crime, except for the prices to live and eat there. And the schools are not that bad from what I heard. I don't know for a fact, but I heard it's not that bad. But I just like the fact that rush hour in Charlotte is a whole new game changer versus versus rush hour in the bigger cities that's bigger than Charlotte. So this is your boy, the old school traveler, telling you, Charlotte, North Carolina, I might want to move there and live there. It's just that damn good. Peace.